Let's talk a little bit about the blueprint. It's going to be Morgan's OVW nickname, and he makes a debut here on Velocity, and Josh Matthews is calling him that. They're also mentioning that Vince Carter and Kevin Garnett have both played him one-on-one in pickup games, and he picked up the win. I thought that was a tip of the cap. That sounded like some good old JR nugget in there.
Yeah.
We know that Matt Morgan, has the right look to be a major player in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think he was missing that didn't click with Vince? Or was it just he never got that relationship with Vince? Or was there something else?
I think he didn't connect with the audience more than anything, because Vince would have loved that size, look, if Matt had been more accessible from his personality standpoint. Good kid. I think he lives here in Jacksonville now. I'm not sure, but I think that's right. But he's always well mannered, represented himself well. He was exactly what we were looking for, but it just, at some point, you had to connect to the audience, and he didn't. And that was his issue. He looked great, good guy, but other than that, he was, it just didn't click. Connie, he had the look, the intelligence, and sometimes all those intangibles just don't add up for whatever reason. It's unfortunate, but Matt was still a good kid, and it just didn't work out for him.
I want to ask you a little bit about Jerry McDevitt. It's written in the Observer that after doing a deposition in the Larry Zbyszko, Chris Jericho Living Legend trademark lawsuit, Bruno was asked by Jerry McDevitt about the possibility of doing WrestleMania. And unlike when San Martino did depositions in the past, McDevitt was beyond nice to him this time and told him that Vince doesn't hate him. He never hated him, and he wants to honor him. McDevitt even told San Martino that, hey, WrestleMania is already sold out at the Garden, so we're really legitimately trying to honor you and not use your name to sell tickets. But Bruno was quick to remind him that WrestleMania is now about getting people to buy pay-per-views, and that's not sold out. Dave would write, I don't know if he was specifically being asked about going into the Hall of Fame or if that's going to happen, but that sounds like where they were going. San Martino didn't accept or decline the invitation. And this is back in late 2003. We know ultimately he does accept the WWE honoring him in 2013. How close do you think you guys got in 2004?
Pretty close. Bruno just couldn't make his mind up what he wanted to do. We honored that because of the respect that we had for him. He had the right and had earned the right to be, uh, selective, cautious, but it was inevitable that he would be in the Hall of Fame sooner than later, and very well deserved, for God's sakes. If Bruno Sammartino is not in your Hall of Fame, then it's not much of a Hall of Fame, in my opinion. So I had great respect and admiration for Bruno, and I got to know him better during this whole process. Him being from my late wife Chan's hometown of Pittsburgh, in the same basic neighborhood, actually. He was a favorite of mine, and I'm glad it worked out for him because he's a super guy. And I noticed a lot of stuff on Facebook had interviews with Bruno. Bruno was a great interviewer. He was logical. He spoke well. So I always had a lot of time for Bruno, and it was a sad day that he passed. I thought the son of a gun would live forever because he was in great shape. He trained hard. He did cardio, which a lot of wrestlers don't do, and so he was always one of my favorites. I thought he did a great job, and we love Bruno without question.
Well, we know ultimately Hunter helps gets it done. And who's getting it done behind the scenes, believe it or not, in this Jericho Trish Stratus story is that we find out it's been largely written by Jericho with help from Trish. And that jumped off the page to me. I just assumed this was probably Brian steering the ship. It doesn't shock me that Jericho had a lot of input, but I was surprised to hear that Trish was helping with this. How involved was she with her creative, as best you recall? This is cool to learn.
Well, she learned going forward that she had an opportunity to contribute to the creative. Every talent has the opportunity to create talent, to create an interest in their angle, their storyline, and she explored that. She knew that this is something that she could be involved in, and I thought it was great. No talent will if you allow the talent, and they're all allowed. Just some are too damn lazy to invest in their own program, which is sad. But she played that card. She was involved, and I thought that was just great because it made the whole storyline better. Anytime a talent can contribute to the creative, your chances of making it work are amplified. And she's smart. I saw online this week where she's celebrating her 25th year in the wrestling business. Why can't she be a good booker? There's no reason. You sure as hell can't stop it because of her gender. That's for sure. So she was involved and in a very good way, not a troublemaking way, but a positive, creative way. And she pulled it off really well.
Let's talk about Eugene. This is before we're seeing the debut of Eugene character. He doesn't actually debut until April of 04. But in January of 04, the WWE runs an interesting article on WWE.com. The headline is, Dinsmore gets WWE opportunity, but no guarantees. Boy, that sounds like he's got the deck stacked against him. But if you know his story, you know that Jim Cornette was on record as saying, Nick has actually been the best guy we have for in-ring work for all this time, and he hasn't gone up. He's excellent in the ring. He's a wonderful kid. He's got 7 years experience behind him now. All I can say is better late than never. But remember now, it's been a crowded crop down there at OVW. They've pushed out projects like Batista, John Cena, Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin. And now it took a while, but Nick Dinsmore is finally going to get his opportunity. But this headline, Dinsmore gets opportunity but has no guarantees, doesn't really feel like the right way to welcome a guy in. And listen, they stick him with John Heidenreich when he's having some tryout matches, which is probably challenging. It feels like the deck was stacked against Nick Dinsmore, and we know he's going to get a gimmick that he does is to the best of his abilities. It always feels like there's a glass ceiling there, but do you think Dinsmore is one of the great what ifs? Because it seems like everybody was pulling for him and was a fan of him behind the scenes, but he just came in with bad timing maybe, or is it something else?
I don't know, Con. That's a good question. Timing is everything, as we all know. So I don't know how to answer that question. He did have all the intangibles. He could work. He was reliable. He was entertaining. Had a good personality. But his gimmick as Eugene was a little weak. It wasn't layered. It was a little tough. So, but he did his. Let me put it this way: Nick Dinsmore did all he could do to get over and make this thing work. And but his character, the Eugene character, did have a ceiling. It was not taken seriously, and because it wasn't taken seriously by the audience, it wasn't taken seriously by Vince.